Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We'll be starting immediately, and I want to welcome every one of us who are here today for the Japanese online scholars session. I'm very happy that you could make it here this afternoon. Our guest is already here with us, and we'll be starting immediately. I've tried to connect the YouTube channel for those who will not be able to join us here, maybe because by the time they are coming in, the channel will be full here. So the YouTube is running. At the same time, I'm trying to fix the Facebook channel to connect to the Facebook channel, but it seems I may not be able to do that. I thought I tried that earlier, but maybe people will just work with the YouTube for now. If I'm able to sort that out, yes, it will be fine. So let me start with the slide because that's what we'll be working with today. And if you cannot hear me, please let me know so I can see if there are technical problems before we start. We are also recording this, so there will be the clip will be available after the meeting. Sorry, I'm trying to, yeah, we have this. Sorry, from current slide. So yeah, you're all welcome today to today's meeting with our guest, Emmanuel Dansu. He's a PhD student at the Tohoku University in Sendai, Japan. And I hope I'm, I'm right with the pronunciation of the university. So yeah, shortly we'll be starting the presentation, and I'm sure that you all enjoy it, you all be blessed by it. And a few things I would want you all to note so that we can enjoy ourselves is that one, you should please always mute your microphone except you are told to do otherwise. Respect everyone's opinion, no matter how poor they may seem to you. No one is an island of knowledge. I don't know everything, and I don't think anybody in the world knows everything. So we are here to learn together. Number three is that we'll have time to take questions after our guest presentation. So keep your questions somewhere, just note them so that you don't forget. And we'll be using the Slido to ask our questions. Like I've said earlier, we decided not to use the Zoom because at the end of the day, if it happens that people are not able to connect here because we exceed the 300 level of participants, then those on YouTube might not be able to ask their questions. So because of that, we'll be using the Slido, and I provided the links in the email that I sent a few days ago and this morning. This is the link again, so you can use that and post your question. By the time we are taking questions, I'll activate the link. You'll be able to post your questions. Number five, endeavor not to ask the same questions if somebody has done that already, so you don't, you give others the chance to ask. So six, you are only permitted to ask one question. Why we are doing that is so that everybody can have a chance to ask their question. So maybe after it has gone around, you can post your questions, but the idea is to help, is to be considerate and to allow others to join in. So let me introduce our guest. His name, like I've said the other time, is Emmanuel Danso. He's a lecturer at the Department of Mathematical Sciences, Federal University of Technology, Akure in Ondo State. And that's the school that I also graduated from for my first degree. And he's a Japanese government Mext PhD scholar. So we caught a big fish this time around, studying for mathematical biology / sociology at the Tohoku University in Sendai, Japan. He's also the General Secretary of the African Association of Miyagi Afam in Japan. is a math saloon leader, TEDx, Tohoku University, Sendai, Japan. Join me in welcoming our guest. Sir, you are welcome. You can come over and take the stage, sir.
Thank you so very much. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share with everybody. Hello, everyone. Even if you can't talk, you can just at least wave. Okay. You would control this slide, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, please. You could go to the next page.
Okay, I'm there.
Yes. We are here to talk about the Japanese government Mext scholarship. Please, people often complain that I talk too fast. So if I get to a point where I get lost talking I'm getting too fast, please, you could just help by trying to, maybe you should make a sign to let me know that I'm talking too fast. Michael, you could help me with that, right?
Okay, yeah.
All right, please, because I don't know, I people complain all the
People
time
can
that I talk
also,
too fast.
I would adjust the settings to allow people to unmute themselves if they cannot hear
Okay.
you or if they think that you are talking too fast. So please, you can unmute yourself. I will do that, but please don't unmute yourself and allow noise. That's the essence of these settings. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so straight to the point, we're talking about Mext, and the first thing is what exactly is Mext? Mext, the word Mext is actually the short form for the Ministry of Education, Science, Culture, Sports, and Technology in Japan. So it's like our short way of writing that whole thing. So it's the Ministry of Education and all of those things. So, and the scholarship is fully funded, and it is in different categories. Here for research students. Now, for people who have downloaded the form, you will see the options to pick there, especially for postgraduate people. There's option for research students. There's something like MSc, and there's something like PhD, or they ask you, where are you starting your study from, and where would you like to end? For instance, if you have a bachelor's degree and you're applying for MSc, it is better you choose research student. Now, the idea of research student is, if you're going through the embassy, most of the times, for the first 6 months in Japan, you will have to go through an intensive Japanese language course. So so for those 6 months, you are known as a research student. So while doing the Japanese language course, you would depending on your kind of program, you may have to write an entrance exam during the 6 months, an entrance exam into your master's or yeah, if you have a first degree, if you have a master's degree, so you have to write an entrance exam into your PhD program proper during the first 6 months. So your status within the first 6 months is what we call research students. So after the first 6 months, if you write the entrance exam and you pass, people fail the entrance exam. Some people get to write it twice. So, but of course, you are allowed to be a research student for about 4 semesters. That's 2 years. After 2 years, if you don't get into your MSc or PhD program, then you may have to leave. But I think that's very rare though, because before you even get in the first place, it is serious. You must have gone through a very serious screening. So, research student status is for the first 6 months when you are preparing. Now, in some cases, though, depending on your professor, depending on your professor in Japan, you may go straight to the MSc or PhD program. In my set, 8 of us came to Japan, and one of us went straight to the program. So he didn't have to go through the 6 months that the rest of us went through. Then, most of the times, for people who go through the university recommendation, I'm going to talk about that shortly. If you go through the university recommendation, most of the times you just go straight into the program. For me, I think I prefer going the first 6 months of studying the language, so that of course, my research is not in Japanese, for instance, but I you need the language to be able to find your way around reading all those kanjis, Chinese characters, and all that. And it will also allow you to settle down instead of going straight into the program. Of course, maybe the disadvantage is that you spend 6 months extra. Like I've been here for almost 3.5 years, but I think it's fine. But maybe I would have had the advantage of, if I had started
Mm,
straight, I would have graduated like March this year. But now I'll
mm,
be graduating in September. because I came in 2017 April. So I've talked about the research student, masters, and PhD thing. Now there's also something for undergraduates. That one is quite. I think I don't know if I should say that it's more competitive uh than the postgraduate one, because it's for maybe people that have like 9A1s in their O level results or something like that, and they have some. It's and that one is like coming for the undergraduate study is more like you're typically becoming more of a Japanese person, because you come to the undergraduate studies, you
Mm.
study for a whole year, you study the Japanese also. So by the time you go into the undergraduate studies, you are studying in Japanese, and I think there are special programs for people in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of people from India,
Yes.
Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and all those places coming for some special programs. But for Africa, the only one I can talk about is that undergraduate thing, mainly through the embassy recommendation. Then there's something for College of Technology students, maybe those who do some maybe can I say more of polytechnic? Do I've not, I don't think I've really met anybody who came for this, but I've met more of the last one, specialized training college students, those the teacher training people, those people who studied education in the university. So they come here for 1.5 years uh to do some kind of teacher training program for 1.5 years, and then they go back to
Okay.
their country. Now, about depending on your plan, if you come for the Mext scholarship, most of the times you have the liberty to choose to live in Japan or to go back to your country if you have a job or something. So if you want to stay in Japan after after completing your program like MSc PhD, then you can stay. For me, I have to go back because I'm in Futa. I'm a lecturer in Futa. I just came on study leave. Then for the teacher training, I think it's compulsory that they go back. Although some people find a way around that, Nigerians. But I want to tell us right away: don't ever lie, please. Don't
Yeah,
lie. In the long run, it doesn't make sense. There's more to life than living abroad, and there's more to life than making money and having a good
honestly.
life. There's more to life than all of those things. But of course, if you have no obligations back in Nigeria, you are very free. Most of the times, before you graduate from a Japanese program, you have if you want to work in Japan, like 6 months to graduation, you already have a job most of the times. So if you want to live here, it's easy. But then the language, you have to really brush up on that. Okay, so I've talked about Mext. I didn't even. I think I'm even not following this slide so much.
Yeah, yeah,
So like,
I was going to
so
ask you that.
yeah, I may not have to be confined to this.
Okay.
Since you can always have it, and you can look at it at your time, so that it won't be, I'll be boring you if you can read through this for sure. So I will be boring you by going through line by line, but of course I will try to use it as a guide I mean, definitely. So well, about studying in Japan, why would anybody want to study in Japan? I think that sometimes uh well, I know people who would not come to Japan, who will not go to any country where English is not spoken. That's why most of us
Yes.
Nigerians, they want to go to the UK, they want to go to Australia, Canada, US. That's nice, but I can also tell you that you can have some of the best experience of your life coming to Japan if you are ready for the challenge. You know, for instance, for me, I love learning languages. Like I speak some French and all that. So I felt when I felt coming to Japan if I wanted to go to a country where I would learn a new language, because it's any new additional language you can speak is a can be a huge advantage for you for your career and all that. But of course, one of the four most difficult languages to study on this earth are Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. So getting here, I thought I was a very good language learner, but looking at the fact that in the language alone, they write in three different scripts, and they
Mm.
have some very funny grammar and all that. So going through the 6 months was it really shook me like so I got to know that. So I would have needed to do some very extra work to be able to go. So fine, right now I can find my way around Japan. I can engage in basic conversations, but like to talk very freely like I speak English right now. I can't do that in Japanese. But the thing is, the longer you stay here, the better you get, because you just pick things up here and there. And interestingly, we have a boy that is going to be 4 in August. Right now, he's more like a Japanese teacher. He just speaks it like it's
Wow.
his best language. Like it just flows. So we learn a lot of things from him. Like when he's speaking, he doesn't worry. Like he just speaks it because that's what he hears all around. But of course, we teach him English and Yoruba. He can speak Yoruba, he can speak English, but Japanese is more like his primary language. And I'm also teaching in my local dialect too, from Badagry, for instance. So yeah, so coming to Japan, of course, you already know that Japan is the third largest economy in the world, and they have this technology, the innovation, and all of those things. So there's a whole lot to learn here. A lot of earthquakes happen here, but then they have I mean, skyscrapers. Because of the idea I have about earthquake happening here all the time, I was expecting to see, low buildings and everything, but these guys have mastered building to the point that, in fact, the new buildings they have now, uh, when there are earthquakes, the buildings move in the direction of the quake so that nothing happens. So most
Mm.
of the time, like I'm talking now, earthquake, there can be earthquake, like there will be this vibration and no shaking. So, so sometimes I wonder, Nigeria, we don't have earthquake, but buildings collapse every time. What's our problem? So if you come to a place like this, you can learn how they have managed to. Then again, Japan, the geography of Japan is so crazy. It is 80% mountains, 80% mountains. So it is such a rugged terrain. So you see them they build houses on the mountain, in the valley, and in between, in the saddle, or whatever you call it. Maybe it is coal and saddle or whatever. So they have ma- perfected the technique of building, using whatever they have to live a good life. So there's a whole lot you can learn by even living here alone. There's a lot to learn. And then your area of study too, there's a whole lot to learn. They have also produced some of the highest number of Nobel Prize winners, field medal winners, and all of those things. So Japan is a very excellent place to study. Then of course, if you are open to learning a new language, learning Japanese is not a bad idea at all. With that, you can work for Japanese multinationals. And of course, one thing that we always say here is English. In fact, some people, they basically thrive here by teaching English. So yeah, the fact that you can speak English already is a huge advantage for you,
Mm.
and all that. So, and then in picking a professor, you have to be sure the professor is exposed. There are some Japanese professors who are most Japanese people are very comfortable. Of course, just like America, most countries that have advanced economies, they are very comfortable living in their countries because they don't need anything. So that's why you see Americans. You even know America more than some Americans, and you have not been to the airport. Some maybe, but before I even ever got to the airport, I already knew a whole lot about America. And most Americans, they don't even know as much about America as some of us Nigerians know, because we are the ones looking for opportunity all over the place. So I think that's very important. So like I said, it's very important to choose a language that is taught in English, so that you don't have uh using the Japanese language, because learning Japanese alone, I see it as another work on its own. So having to do that alongside your studies, I think that would be a serious one. So talking about the qualifications, age is very important to the Japanese person. If you meet a typical Japanese person, the first thing they want to ask you is, how old are you? Why are they asking that?
Hmm?
Because they already have a structure that if you're at this age, there's every likelihood that this is what you're doing. For instance, it is so structured. Once you are six, you're in primary one, what we call primary one, elementary school. So from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you're in primary school. Then from 11, 12, 13, you are in junior high school. After junior high school, you have no obligation to go to school anymore. That's the basic education. And with that, if you go through that, if you're a Japanese person who goes through that, is can live life, after going through the 9 years of studies. And Japan has 99% literacy rate. That is, they can read and write, like their functional education. You can read and write. You can do whatever, having gone through those 9 years. But of course, if you can go to the high school from, I said, yeah, that's 12, 11, 12, 13, right? What did I say? 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 12, 13, 14, junior high. 14, 15, 16, senior high school. So at 17, you're expected to be in the first year of undergraduate studies. So 17, 18, 19, 20. So most of the time, you see people graduating at 20 and 21.
Hmm.
So at the typical, if you're a Japanese person, there's every likelihood, if you're going to the university, you're graduating at 2021. So if you're going for masters, most times they go straight, there's no NYSC. So at 23, you're done with masters. If you're going for PhD, you go straight. uh 20, so by 27, by 26, 27, you're already a PhD holder. Although some people go to work first and then they come back. But
Okay.
I think the oldest Japanese person who has completed PhD that I personally know is was 30, I think, because he just went to work and all that. But me,
Oh,
I came here when I was almost 35 to start PhD.
Mhm.
So it's okay. So age is very important. So
okay.
if you're applying this year, you should make sure that by April 1st next year, you're not going to be more than 35. I think I was very blessed because when I arrived April 2nd, 2017, and I was just 2 months short of 35. So if I
Hmm.
had not made it that year, I wouldn't have
Wow.
qualified the following year. So that the age thing is so important. But I know most of the people here probably don't have that age issue. So you don't have to worry about your degrees. Just like I put it here, it's not a hard and fast rule, but because it is quite competitive in this house alone, if I'm going, we have 49 people here right now participating. I don't know the number of participating on YouTube. So for the 49 people here already are like, I know if I'm going to screen people for the Japanese scholarship, it is going to be tough already because I know a lot of people here would have first class, 2-1, and all of those things. So it can be neck breaking. I think in our set, I heard about 400 of us or 450 people applied. So after all the screening, now what's that screening about? The screening is about the way you fill your form. In fact, from the filling of the form, if you can fill your form on the computer, so it is very clear and legible. I filled my own by hand because when I saw the form, I didn't even know how to make how to make any sense of it. So I struggled a bit. In fact, I was going to withdraw because the form was so confusing. But then, interestingly, I had one of my mentors who is also a lecturer in Futa. He just came back from his PhD program in Japan. He studied in Tsukuba University. He's an IDD. So he just came back. He told me, no, it's not a big deal. You can even fill it with pen. So he showed me his own form, just filled with pen. So I was like, okay, so it's not that difficult. So I filled the forms and everything. So what I discovered later was the eight of us that were picked, the first place. Now maybe I'm applying with a first class. Almost everybody applying is applying with a first class. Of course, once in a while you see people who did, like in our set. I think there was someone who finished with 4.4 something or something like that. But most of the times it's first class. Like I had I applied with first class, first degree, and distinction in masters. So according to the ranking, I think I ranked number 4 or 3 in the application, and part of the consideration was how you filled your form. So the more clear your form is, the higher you would be ranked in the selection process. So the way you feel, so the whole screening even starts from your form. Of course, if you don't have a CGPA that is so high, like maybe 4.3, that's why I recommend, if you don't have 4.3 upwards, you may consider not applying, except if you just want to, if you say you don't, of course, sometimes you just say, well, I don't have anything to lose, let me just do this, and sometimes it works. But really, if you don't want to uh waste your effort, it's better you don't apply if you don't have 4.30 over 5 upwards. I
Oh,
think that's very frank. So about 400 of us applied. After all the screening, based on our results, the way we filled the form and everything, because they score it. How did you fill the form? There's a score for that. Your
okay.
CGPA, master's, PhD, if you're first degree masters, there's a scoring for that. So after doing all of that, 70 of us went for the written test in Abuja. Now, for the written test, it's no big deal at all. If you're a Nigerian and you have studied in English all along, the test it's not a big deal. The test is basically English and Japanese language. Now, I know hearing Japanese language, some people's heart will cut, like we say in Nigeria, but you don't have to worry about that. When I went for the test, I didn't know. The only thing I knew in Japanese was konnichiwa. Konnichiwa is hello. Ohayo gozaimasu, good morning, and all that. But it was even in our Roman letters. But and Japanese, they don't even use Roman letters at all. They use katakana, hiragana, and kanji. Kanji is the Chinese character. So I couldn't write any of those. So the key is focus on the English, but the English is just normal comprehension, lexis, and structure. So basic questions that anybody can answer. You don't even have to prepare someone, but of course prepare, because you're competing with a lot of people. So just brush up your English, lexis and structure, comprehension, and all of those things. So for the Japanese part, what I did was, even if at least I could see, but do I didn't understand what I was saying. I just copied back what I was seeing in the answers. Maybe some of them were right, I don't know. But but you should know that that is nominal. They just want to know if you already have some experience learning the Japanese language. So 70 of us made it to that test stage, and after the test stage, 18 of us were selected for the interview based on our performance in the based on the initial screening on results and how we feel the form. Then after this test stage, 18 of us made it to the interview, and I think in our set we it was unusual. Usually they picked between 4 and 6 from Nigeria through
Okay.
embassy recommendation, because there were other people. There are other people that go straight. Maybe they contact a professor, a Japanese university who is willing to supervise you and can apply for Mext scholarship. Or there are different programs in different universities that are sponsored by the Japanese government. So if you can find a school like that, in fact, after I think after I gave this kind of talk on Telegram somewhere, some random two guys just came to me, and they came, like one we met on LinkedIn, the other one he came to me on WhatsApp. I think he got my number somewhere. So and they went through the university recommendation. So I was able to guide them through, and now they'll be resuming in October for university recommendation. So if you don't get the embassy thing, you could do you could if you could search for universities that have programs that are sponsored where you can equally get a next scholarship. In fact, sometimes some of those university recommended scholarships even pay more. Of course, it is the same next, but sometimes they even pay more than the embassy recommendation. So you want to explore all the opportunities as much as possible. Now, I know somebody may be asking, is it necessary? Okay, I've told you about the test. What about the English test like IELTS, TOEFL, and all the rest? Now, well, they are not compulsory at the application stage, but you may end up writing during your 6 months as a research student. You may end up having to write that. Now, when I filled my form, I had written, I think I had written GRE. Of course, they don't even ask you. It's not so important, but if you have it, just put it. Maybe that may set you apart, but it's totally not necessary. Then I had written okay. Hello. Okay. Now, when I was filling the form, I had written GRE, I had written IELTS, so I didn't want to waste my score, so I just put it on the form because there are spaces for them there. But it's absolutely not compulsory. So if you can't afford to write those exams now, you are free to just apply. So, but getting to Japan, once you start getting your scholarship, it may be easier to write the any of the tests you have to write here. So like that. Another reason I really like this Mex scholarship is that it is family friendly. So for instance, if you're married or you're planning to marry in the process, you can easily do that, and you don't have to sweat it like you have to sweat in Canada and America to bring your wife over. Here it's just like express. Once you have your documents to show that you're married, then you're free to bring your wife. Then depending on your school, for instance, my wife came in 2 months, 2.5 months after I came in, and after a year, she also started a master's program. And because I'm on like I'm not working in this system, and I'm on scholarship, so so she's been having a waiver all along and all that. So that opportunity is also there for your wife to school if she can still, or she can also teach English or work or whatever. So but of course information is important. That's why when you get there, you have to just feel free and relate with people, like go for outings, like one of the things I made sure to do was I joined the Tohoku University Foreign Student Association. I was social manager there, so I didn't put that because I'm no well, technically I'm no longer social manager, but in doing that, I'm able to interact with people. When there are opportunities, they share with you. You can just go for a party. Of course, when they say party, it's not the kind of party, maybe you just go for a drink with someone, like you just go for to sample some Japanese food and check out some of their teas and all of those things. And over while doing that, you just discuss, and somebody just tells you, oh, for instance, my wife got to know about her program when she just went for a ladies hangout, and she met with some Kenyan ladies, and one woman just told her, oh, you could apply to this program. And interestingly, some of the times they don't even care so much about the kind of results you're bringing, whether it is third class or 2-2. I'm not talking about if you are the scholarship person. If you're looking for scholarship, of course, 4.30 reports. But if your wife doesn't even have a first class or 2-1 or whatever, she may still be able to study if you just get the right information, basically. Now, most of the times I recommend that people now the process start by you filling the form. The forms are then, I think the forms have been modified to Excel that you can easily fill. So you download the forms. There's a health form. All you need to do is just take it to a certified health place. Like I did my, I remember I did my health certificate. I did it in the Futa clinic because I'm a Futa staff. So you could do it in a general hospital or some private clinic that is known. But please don't lie on your form. If you have some health conditions, don't lie, please. Because if they find out, it won't speak good of Nigeria. Don't hush puppy us, please. So because people who lie and cut corners like that, they end up reducing the chances of honest people. And I know a lot of Nigerians will lie in filling our visa forms and doing all of those. You don't need it. Just be truthful and be patient. Like in making applications, before I forget, I try to minimize it. Like I try to be modest about it. Like I made attempts writing GRE, writing TOEFL, contacting professors, getting admission. I made well over 500 attempts before I could get the single one. I wrote a whole lot of professors in Japan. Only my current professor answered me, and you only need one professor, right? So don't be discouraged. You've been writing professors and they are not answering. They are quite busy, or some of them, maybe when you look at your application, they don't even have space. So keep at it. All you need is one professor that will answer, and that will make all the difference. I know Femi has some interesting experience in that line too, so I understand his smile. So download the forms and fill as much as possible. You'll have to identify professors that you can work with. So, well, some people ask me, how do I do that? Just go online and check. So I for easy, you can start with these schools I suggest. Of course, my school, feel free to come to Tokyo University, where we have produced Nobel Prize winners, and we do cutting edge research, and we have uh I think the Tokyo University is reputed for some breakthroughs in physics. Like our current president is a spintronics expert. I think a flash drive and all those hard disk and all those things. Some of those things were designed from this place. Like some of the things we use on computers today were designed here. So of course, I also recommend Nagoya, Kyushu, Hokkaido, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You could just start with those schools. So and you can go through different schools. You can just check. Oh, you need to so in filling your form at this initial stage, you need to identify three professors you can work with. Now you see, it is more about the professor than even the university. So when you want to be sure, check out before you choose a professor, make sure the professor has been publishing in English language, because some people are very comfortable. They don't bother themselves. They just publish in Japanese all the time. So you need a professor that is exposed, so that your research work can be done in English, so that will reduce. You don't have to stress yourself so much in doing that. Now, generally, even on the forms, you find that the embassy recommends that you don't worry yourself about Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. Those are like the three largest cities in Japan. And because of the cost of living and all of those things, of course, you'll be getting a scholarship, but I'm sure you don't want to use all your scholarship in getting accommodation and everything. So if you live in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, you may have to spend more on accommodation and all that. But of course, some people still, before they are highly reputed universities. So you want to have like University of Tokyo on your certificate on your resume, for instance. Not a bad idea. So for instance, in our set, one of us went to Tokyo Institute of Technology, not even University of Tokyo, but she still lived in Tokyo, and one of us is in Kyoto right now. So you may still do that if you want, but sometimes I think the professors, they are busier and the cost of living is higher. That's why they recommend that, but it's not that you cannot try it at all. So yeah. Okay, so selecting a professor, I've talked about that. Then now, Japan, the Japan, one of the trouble I have here sometimes is, within my 3.5 years of living in Japan, I have got more papers like in my mailbox than I have ever got in the first 30, in almost 35 years of my life in Nigeria. Every day, go into your mailbox, there's something, the water bill, the gas bill, the electricity bill, then some information, some advert, and all that. So a lot of people, they like paperwork. So that's one thing that surprised me. I felt that getting here, all I just need to do is maybe just tap a card and they get all my information. Of course, at the airport that happens. Just get there and they by just once you enter the airport and you get through immigration, your information is all over Japan. So that's why commit a crime here is totally that it will be difficult to commit a crime and not you'll be spotted like now once you do that. But it is surprising that they do a lot of paperwork, a lot of paperwork. So sometimes you get I see paper. So like now I have some papers I have to attend to, and they are in Japanese. So with my little level of Japanese and Google Translate, I can attend to some forms. And in this era of pandemic, I'm not able to go to church every time and or go to places where people, my friends who understand Japanese can easily put me through. So now I have to struggle and use Google Translate and the little Japanese I understand to fill some of those ones. So I'm saying that to say that in applying for the scholarship in the first place, they need all your documents ever, from your birth certificate to your I've listed those things in the slide. Your birth certificate, your primary school certificate, your secondary school certificate. They want to be sure if there's a gap in your education, you should be able to explain it. What happened this 1 year that was not reflected on your CV? What happened that year? You should be able to give them something because I just like I told you, the system is so structured. So every year is accounted for. So if you are taking a year off, they want to know what you did with that 1 year. So if you don't have your birth certificate, go and look for it. Or maybe you should just go and report yourself at the National Populations Commission and get your and get something from them. So they need all of those things. Well, if you have some awards and all that, maybe that's not those ones are not so compulsory, but of course maybe they can boost your chances because of probably they're already in your CV. Then if you in my era we had just secondary school, but these days you have junior and senior secondary school. So now you can't present just one result for your junior and secondary school together. You have to prove, because most people attend different ones. Like I attended Badagry Grammar School. It was one school from JSS 1 to SS 3, but now it is Badagry Junior Grammar School and Badagry Senior Grammar School. So now you have to give them your final certificate for Badagry Junior Grammar School and different one for Badagry Senior Grammar School. So every level of your life, everything you've ever done with your life that is certified, they want to see it. And if you're married, you want to see your marriage certificate. I think that's helpful, so that if you want, by the time you want to bring your wife, it's easy. And if you have kids, they want to see their birth certificates. So that's one tiring thing. Paperwork. You need all those documents. So go and check. If you kept yours with your grandma, please go and get them. So you need all of those things. You need your reference letters too. Now, what do you do with those certificates? You take them to a court, a recognized court, and notarize them. Like somebody, you take them to, you take the origin. You make, I think, 3 copies of each. I don't know what the regulations are now, but I think before you even start filling the form, the first form you have is the general instruction. Please don't gloss over it. It is very tempting. You buy a phone and you start using it, and you don't use the phone to the best because you don't know what the manual really says. So before you start filling, read the general instruction. Those things, some of the things I'm telling you may have changed because I applied like I applied in 2016 and I came here 2017. So some things may have been modified. So read the instructions and be sure that you're doing the right thing. So you notarize your to notarize a document, you make I think 3 copies. Maybe I recommend 4 copies in case you make a mistake in filling. You could uh, be able to get something new. So you can make 4 copies of your documents and take the original ones alongside to court, and then the court people, they will put their stamp and sign. So by doing that, they are automatically so it means that those photocopies are like original. That's the idea of notarizing it, to show that the document. Interestingly, I was surprised that till all the documents I used for application, they will send some of it to the university you apply to. Till tomorrow, they have not asked me for the original copy from Futa, because I did my first degree and master's in Futa. So they have not asked me for the originals. So, but I know some people, in some cases, some people were told to request for the original from Futa to be sent here, because they believe that once you have notarized it, it is the real deal. But of course, they also know that some of us lie. So maybe that's why they really want to go. So see, if you tell the truth, life becomes pretty easy. Please, as Nigerians, let's try to change this narrative of us being liars and scammers and everything. It puts us under a lot of pressure. When you go out, you see what I'm talking about. Like I was going to Australia. Now, in fact, 3 of us. I was going to Australia in 2018, and I had to apply for a visa twice. And normally, if you're a resident of Japan, you don't need to apply for visa to go to Australia. Just buy your ticket and go. But all the 3 Nigerians I know, We went to Australia around the same time, maybe some months apart. All of us had to apply twice because they really want to be sure that. Imagine I'm on a PhD program. I have a scholarship. I have a wife and a kid here. We had a kid then, and you think I will now leave my PhD program and all that and go to Australia and settle down there? What are they selling there? But because they believe that people lie like that, they make things get more difficult. You don't need visa at all in the first place, but then because you're a Nigerian, you have to apply for visa. You apply the first time, you pay, they cancel, they tell you, give you a reason. Maybe it's not flimsy because some people have actually scammed them for real. So I had to apply the second time and now put my professor's contact. So they had to call my professor before they were convinced that I wasn't going to Jackpa in Australia. Let's stop all these things, please. You don't have to, like, if you have gone to school, you don't have to struggle so much to be excellent. Just do the right thing. So yeah, in the form also, if you are going for an MSc or PhD, you have to do a proposal. Now this proposal thing is not so serious because the space for it on the form is even very small. So you just need some basic ideas about what you want to do. And interestingly, you may end up not doing anything at all, like in relation to your proposal, but it's just for the sake of filling the form. Now the interview stage, okay, you have after filling the form. Now I think I learned that in Nigeria now the deadline for submission is July 31st. So you have almost a month to go. But I implore you, if you can send your after filling all your application, you also need to get reference letters from I think two people. For me, I got my reference letters from my HOD and from another professor in my department. So they will have to give you they'll have to fill the reference letter, put it in an envelope, and sign across the envelope to show that, yeah, it's really confidential. So you take those two, add it to every other document, or your certificate, the forms you have filled, and everything, and then see. Maybe if you, I think mine, I sent it under a week to closing, so I had to use DHL. But if you don't want to waste your money on DHL, if you can finish like 2 weeks ahead, so you can send it through post, or you can register it. Maybe that doesn't cost as much as DHL. You can use EMS speed post. Doesn't cost as much, so you can be sure it is registered, and it can get there in good time. So like that. So if you have done that and submitted before the deadline, the next you're waiting for to be called for the test. So if only people who are shortlisted, who have been screened based on their performance and everything, and deemed qualified for the test to be invited. So you're called for the test, most likely in Abuja. I don't know if the plan is going to change or anything. So you go for the test in Abuja, and usually I think the test. Okay, well, maybe because of Corona this time, I remember we wrote our test July 31st. So, and they will tell you to stay back in case you make it to the interview level. I think the evening of the same day, they send you a text message or something to tell you that, oh, you have made it for the interview. But if you don't get that text message, it's like one of the longest 12 hours of your life. That, oh, so, and then one thing that happens is, there's this solidarity. All of us that meet at the embassy, quick, sharp, sharp, will form WhatsApp group, and then we start sharing information. Some people will bring rumors and all that. Some people will tell you, oh, at the embassy, they are collecting money, they are you just hear all kind of crazy things that maybe they are selling slots and all
Ah,
those. Don't mind those things. Just do your thing and forget. Some people are bad losers sometimes. Because they don't
yes.
get it, they will now be angry and say that they are selling or whatever. Just do what you have to do, and know that one thing I believe is, like I told you, the last scholarship the last opportunity I lost before I got the scholarship was I applied to University of Saskatchewan in Canada, and 67 of us were shortlisted at last to be picked. I was number 4 on the list. My friend was number 1 on the list because he had more publications and all that. And uh, I think so the number of us they would now take would depend on the funding the school had for that time in maths department. I think they had only one funding slot or two, so automatically I was out of it. It was devastating. That was something I fasted, prayed, did everything, but it didn't happen. But one thing happened after I lost the opportunity. I have this philosophy that if I lose something, it means something better is coming. If you can apply for men's scholarship and not get it. Interestingly, I got used to rejection so much that I was used to it. Once I just say we regret to inform you, I was like, oh, well, you late to share. So I would just be like, Next application, please. I'd already downloaded the that scholarship form for Germany. In case Japan did not work, that scholarship form was already cooling off
Eh,
on my desktop, my computer. So,
wow.
but interestingly, I didn't have to do that.
Mm.
It's so cool. Maybe the kind of, well, I believe in God. I know most people, most scientists, some scientists these days, even Nigerians, they go abroad and they start saying some woke things. Yeah, I believe in God because it's God that has brought me this far. So I believe that God has a path for each and every one of us. And the best way to enjoy your life is to follow the path He has charted for you. He may not want you in Japan. He may want you in America. He may want you in Canada. He may want you in Australia. He may want you in Malaysia, even. He may want you wherever. But most of the times we have ranked all these places. You rather go to America than go to USA, rather than go to South Africa. Sorry, and maybe what the plan God has for your life is for you to school in South Africa. You know, don't don't put yourself in a box. I made applications to all kinds of countries. So today I can talk about South Africa, Singapore, Malaysia. If I got 5 admissions in the process, I got admitted to Washington State University. I got admitted to University of Technology in Malaysia. I got admitted to University of Porto and Coimbra. I got admitted to University of Newfoundland, Canada, Newfound Memorial University, Newfoundland. And I also got admitted into Loughborough University, UK. But why didn't I go? Funding. Admission is nothing. Funding is the key. So, but then Japan came with all the funding, so it's fine. So please open your mind. Now for the Japanese thing, thank God if you really want to prove yourself with the Japanese part, there are apps you can use. Duolingo. With Duolingo you can learn some basic Japanese. And I know at that level they don't expect you to be able to speak some high level Japanese, maybe just basic things. Maybe you can recognize the Japanese, the hiragana and katakana alphabet. You may not even have to worry yourself with the high level kanji. Just hiragana and katakana. You can learn how they look like, how they are pronounced, and things like that. So if you have time to still do that before the test, feel free. That may set you apart. So I've talked about IELTS and GRE. If you have them, just put them in the form. If you don't have them, don't worry yourself. But don't forget, you may have to end up writing at least IELTS or TOEFL or TOEIC. I didn't even know there was something like TOEIC until I got here. It's more like the Asian version of some of those things. But it is very easy. If you're coming from Nigeria, you can do. Of course, don't be overconfident. But I know it is something I can set it now and you pass and you get like 900 over 9. I think it's over 990 or so. So you may have to write some of those tests even after arriving there, but it's easier after you have arrived already on getting scholarship, so it's easier. So yes. Now another, so having made it through the test stage and then you get to the interview stage, that's like the stage where that is another decisive stage. 18 of us made it to that stage and only 8 of us were picked at that point, and that's like some of the highest I have seen. Most times they pick 4, they pick 6, and with all these economic issues, I don't know how what it's going to look like. This can be crazily competitive indeed. So but for the at the interview stage, they are going to ask you, of course, just like most other scholarship interviews, they want to ask you your academic background, like which schools have you been to and all that. They are going to ask you your research background, especially if you're going for masters and PhD. They are going to ask you all that. They're going to ask you the research you're now considering. Which kind of research do you want to do in Japan? Then they'll ask you, why do you want to study in Japan? They'll ask you things like that. They'll ask you your future plans. These 5 areas they are common to most scholarship interviews you'll attend. Your academic background, your research background, your proposed research, your why you want to study in the country of choosing, with Germany or Switzerland or whatever, and your future plans. Maybe what do you want to do after your degree? Do you want to go work? Do you want to go into the industry? Do you want to teach as an academic, or do you want to be in your research? Whatever it is. So you just tell them this. Now, so when I got the message that I was qualified for the test in Abuja that time, one thing I quickly did was I went online and I'm like, okay, I'm going to study something math related in Japan. So what information can I get about mathematics and Japan? So I quickly discovered that at then Japan had produced 24 Nobel Prize winners. I think now it has increased because after then maybe Japan has produced at least one Nobel Prize winner every year or something like that since that time. So I discovered then Japan has produced 24 Nobel Prize winners and 3 Field Medal Prize winners. Field Medal Prize is like the Nobel Prize of mathematics. So I think telling them that must have been quite impressive for them and all that. So get just get information that you can use. Like, okay, I think I want to study in Japan because of this reason, related to your area of research. Now, another thing people ask me is it do you need to have contacted a professor before you apply, before you put their name on the form, on the first time you're filling? No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to. So all you just need to do is, in fact, you may end up not working with any of the three professors on your form, so you don't have to kill yourself about that. just get just be sure that any three of them can supervise you. Just be sure any three of them can supervise you. So make sure they are exposed, they can supervise you in English, and make sure you like their line of research and all that. Now, in addition to that, you may now go the extra mile and contact them. I assure you, most of them may not answer you. But that shouldn't be a problem. Most of them will only answer you after the interview. There's something. So after the interview, the next stage is the passing the primary stage. So the primary stage is that stage where you have aced the interview, and that at that point it's more like you are done, but you are not so done, so to speak. So after passing the interview, then you'll be given a certificate that you have passed the primary screening. So with that certificate, you can now contact professors directly. Now, most professors that wouldn't have answered you normally, if you had not showed them the primary certificate, they are more open to answering you at this stage, because they know the Mex scholarship is a very interesting one. It is one of the best ways you can study in Japan. So if with that primary certificate, you may be able to easily get their attention. You know. So, but in my case though, um, after the interview, even after I had not even, I think, how did it even happen? Yeah, after the interview, I contacted all the three professors. In fact, I went for a conference in Landmark University then. So as I was sleeping at night, Japan is 8 hours ahead. As I was sleeping around 12 midnight, so it would already have been 8 a.m. here. So I just sent a message to the three professors I thought could supervise me. Then I was looking at mathematical optimization, mathematical biology, and numerical analysis. Those are three areas I chose. So, and till tomorrow, the rest of them did not even answer me. Only my current professor answered me. I sent a mail. I was about to sleep. I woke up. I saw his mail. I was like, "Wow, what's this?" So, and interestingly, he said, looking at my, any mail you're sending, you should send it with it's a short cover letter, something related to, I am this. I graduated from this with this particular degree, and I saw your research and I'm interested. I would like you to be my supervisor, to be my professor, or something like that. And then you attach your transcript, you attach your CV, you attach your, yeah, I think those two basic, yeah, transcript and CV, basically. Yeah. So, and he got back to me, and maybe your research proposal, yes, especially if you're going for PhD. So he got back to me, was like, oh, looking at my proposal, he felt that there are better people to supervise me than him. I'm like, what kind of man is this? Like, I'm telling you to supervise me, you're telling me there are better people. So he sent me a link of four other professors in different universities in Japan. And I'm like, that caught me at first, that, oh, somebody that can even go out of his way to do that. Then, now in getting a supervisor, you don't necessarily need a Nobel Prize winner as your supervisor. You need somebody who is caring, somebody who has your time. Because it- don't be surprised. You can get someone, maybe you have been supervised by a terrible supervisor in Nigeria. You can get somebody worse than that anywhere in the world. Don't be deceived. It's not, you won't automatically get a great supervisor because you're going to America, Australia. I have friends who have tough times right now in Canada, in places, who their professors are so annoying, even in Japan, you know. So that was really fascinating for me as well. That so this man can go out of his way. So by the time I looked at all of those other people, of course they could supervise me, but they are maybe in other departments, like maybe their department, their medicine. And one way we are changing ourselves in Nigeria is we are too restricted to one thing. So, but there are people who can supervise me who are in departments of hygiene or departments of medicine or biological sciences. But in Nigeria, the gaps are so sharp that if you're math cannot even do statistics sometimes, all those kind of stuff. So looking at that kind of person, I was like, wow, this is so interesting. So I took my time. I didn't want to worry. I took my time, like 24 hours, looked through all these links and saw that, these professors, well, they are good, but for this man that can answer me like this, I was just down with him. So I now told him that, sir, I think I still want you to supervise me. He was like, okay, are you sure? Because I don't want to give you a letter now, and then you tell me you have changed your mind later. So that took me 24 hours again to really think and be very sure. So then I wrote him. So our communication is so sweet. I Most of the time I write him around 12 midnight when I'm about to sleep, and I wake up, he has replied. So I told him, oh, sir, now I've made up my mind. You should be my supervisor. Then, but I wrote him 12 minutes. I woke up 8 a.m. In fact, if I can wake up, if you can wake up like 4 a.m. or so, probably even till tomorrow, if you send him a message now in 30 minutes, 1 hour, he has replied you. So all that, you need that kind of attitude. That's the kind of professor you need, not necessarily somebody who has won the Nobel Prize or anything like that. Of course, you can get a caring Nobel Prize winner. That's possible. Or maybe somebody might even be caring. He doesn't have time to pay attention to you. He doesn't have all the time. So it's better to have somebody who engages you, who has your time. Like we work together, like on my work, like we are colleagues in a group study. So and that's the kind of supervisor you want to get. Maybe next slide. I think I've touched on so many of the things that I should talk about. Yeah, okay, writing a winning statement of purpose and research plan. I think one of the things you would need to attach to your form is there's a part where if you have publications, you need to put all the title of the publication and the abstract on a particular, maybe on one page, or depending on the number of publications you have. So that's most important for people going for PhD. Maybe not so for masters, but if you are going for masters and you already have publications, good for you. So you may have to do that. So statement of purpose basically contains your academic background in brief, highlighting some key courses you took. So you want to design it to relate specifically with the uh, if you are dealing with a particular professor, you want to tailor it towards that professor. So because he wants to see how your interests align. Now, some professors need you to push them. Like some of them, they made it at first, they just tell you, "Oh, your background is not in line with mine." If you can persist and say, "But I don't mind. I'm still interested in this," maybe they may budge and they may not answer you. Please get used to not being answered. It does. So just get used to it. In the long run, all you need is one person who will answer you, and that's all. So get used to not getting answer to your mails. You know. So yeah, that's that about statement of purpose. You can read. I'm sure you get the slide after now. Research plan is more like timelines. Okay, maybe for a PhD program, 3 years. And one interesting thing I've seen in Japan is your PhD is not endless. Like I think in America and Canada, you can't be very sure how soon you're graduating. But I know it's like minimum of 4 years. I'm not into that system, but I don't know. But most times it's like you're not very sure if. But in Japan, you are sure if you come in for PhD, you're graduating in 3 years, except in unusual circumstances. That's even very rare. So most of the times, if you resume October, you're graduating September, 3 years time. If you resume April, there are two resumption times: April 1st and October 1st. So structured. If you resume in April, for instance, for masters, if you resume in April, are going to graduate in March, the ending of March in the next 2 years. PhD, resume, whenever you resume, just know that it is 2 years. I mean, the 3 years will not most likely be overshot. So, research plan talks about timeline, proposal. Maybe I may have to. If you need the proposal, you can contact me later or something, or maybe I'll send it to Mike and he can then forward it to you. So that I wrote a general proposal. Your proposal does not have to be something you end up working with. So I think I've said a lot about some of these things. So if there's a gap. Is there still another slide? Yeah. So if there's a gap in anything I've said, if there's something you need to clarify, you can feel free to ask your questions, please.
So now we'll be going down to Slido now. Okay, well, yeah, we can use both now. We can use this channel because from what I can see, we don't even have up to the numbers I was thinking we would have that would stop people from asking questions. So you may ask your question here, and you can also use Slido. I will open Slido now, but if you're using Zoom, please ensure that you allow others, allow one person to speak. Then after that, you unmute yourself so that others can listen to the answers. And after that, you can also ask your own question. Let's make it very organized. So let's start from here. Then I would unlock the Slido app. You can begin to ask your question. So let's start from here. So people can go over to Slido to ask their question. and you can use Zoom as well. So once there is a question, I'll be able to show from here, but from Zoom as okay, someone is raising a hand. Okay. So we have let me see those that want to ask questions so I can
Well, I have a namesake in the house. My first name and last name, Gerege. Wow, interesting.
Okay, the names. I'm trying to like find those who are raising their hands now. Okay. Someone by the name Ebir. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name very well. Ebire Francis. Can you go ahead and ask your question? Francis, Ebere Francis, can you ask your question? Okay, I guess it's not. Let's pick another person. Timileyin Ayonlade, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Timmy.
I am Timlay Ayalade. So I want to
All right.
ask Mr. Dansu about I was going through the form for the
Okay.
research students,
Okay.
and I noticed that the spaces at times for some questions they were small.
Okay.
So I want to know, like, does that mean they expect us to write something small, or do we have to reduce the font to accommodate some things? And number two,
Okay.
you were talking
All right.
about that. You said it is better we use like a software to answer instead of writing it. There are
Yes, by
places
hand.
where we would have to check some boxes and some of that. I tried to use Excel, but it didn't work. So I don't know if you have an idea of how we can
Okay.
work around that.
Yeah, if you can fill the form on computer, it's better. So if you can do that, you can at least fill the ones you can fill on computer, and then print. After printing the form, then you can now check with black pen. But then for the small space, if you're filling with computer, most of the times you can always make space. Or another thing you can do is probably you already know how much you want to say. You can create the kind of space you want on soft copy before you print out the paper and fill with pen if you're filling with pen. Do you get that?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
we
you
have a
had two questions. Did I answer the two?
Yes, you have.
Oh, great. Thank you.
yeah, Francis. May I know if you are ready now to ask your question? Ebere Francis. Okay, let's pick another person. We have some questions on Slido, but we'll get to that. Let's take the questions on Latif Anifowoshe. You are raising your hands. What's your
Yes,
question?
sir.
Okay.
Hello,
Good
Latif.
afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
My name is
afternoon.
Latif Anifawashe.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've actually gone through the forms too as well. But
Great.
my major concern now is about the GPA that you need to have
Okay.
before you can
All
apply.
right. Okay.
Yeah, for someone like me, I graduated with a GPA of 3.97 out of 5 at
Okay.
undergraduate level. And at
Okay.
master's level, I finished, I graduated with 4.1 of 7.0 from the
Okay.
University of Ibadan. So I don't know, how would you evaluate my chances?
Okay. Based on the
Yes, sir.
competition, it's not that strong, but if you don't mind giving it a try, why not?
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Yeah. But and please don't think that even if it whatever it is, you can get a scholarship as far as you don't give up. That's one fact.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay. We also have another person raising hands. Yeah. Trying to figure out the name. That's Makonjo Ola Emmanuel, right? Please, yeah, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I want to really appreciate the anchor of this program. God bless you, sir. My question is this:
Emma Conjola, go ahead.
Seems he's having a troubled network.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's back.
I contacted the professor.
Okay. You contacted the professor, all right?
In Tohoku University.
Oh,
Hi, Mark Onjuala. It seems your network is like troubled.
can you type it in the chat?
Mm, I think I would have to adjust that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
can check it from here if you don't have
okay,
to. You don't have to
okay,
stress yourself. Yeah,
okay.
I can check it from here so that you don't have to add it to the many
Yeah,
things you are doing.
okay.
Yeah. So,
So,
Mark, you can type your question in the chat box.
so while Mark Onjuala is doing that, Victory Jasper is raising, he or she is raising hand. So, I would like you to ask your question now. Unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sirs.
Good afternoon.
Please, I want to ask pertaining to the undergraduate category. I want
Right.
to ask if one can apply immediately after sitting for JAM without actually getting admitted into the university yet, and the chances that one can get after that.
Yeah, I don't know so much about the undergraduate program, but I think most of the things I've explained are the same. But I think their route is a bit different. Most of the times, people applying for undergraduate studies, they are still underaged. So probably their parents get to help them or something. But of course, if you are of age, I think you could do it yourself. And it's this, I think it's basically the same procedure around the same kind of, I think they are in their case, they have some mathematics tests, physics and all that, and it's the forms. I think from the forms you can see their own peculiarities. So, but I think it's basically the same kind of process, except for probably their test is different and all that. And of course, you can apply. I think people apply once they have once you have your O level results, probably as soon as you have it, and it falls in the time, and it is very strong. Like maybe you have 9A1s or 8A1s or something like that in the courses that matter. I think those are the peculiar the requirement. But I'm not so used to that. That's why I didn't dwell so much on it. But I just have the general idea. But from the forms, you can get a lot of information. And if you're applying for undergraduate studies and you have issues, you have downloaded the forms and you need me to guide you through it, just feel free. You can reach me on Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere. I will always be there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, I would like to say, okay, because some people said you didn't talk so much. That was one of the questions on Slido. I didn't talk about undergraduate
Yes.
studies, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I have a guy who applied last year for the undergraduate
Okay.
program, although he was not selected, but I think his experience throughout those
Okay.
period can help those who want to also
Nice.
apply. So aside from them talking to you privately, maybe I can find a way to get the guy to like share the things that he thinks were some of the things he learned while he was applying last
Great.
year. So for those who
Great.
want to talk to this guy, you can send a mail to our email, TSN email address. Once you send an email, I will collate the list of those people who are interested, then we can find a way to allow the guy talk to us so you can learn one or two things from his experience last year. So that's what I'm going to do. But that does not stop you from reaching out to our dear professor. So please reach out to
Amen.
Emmanuel Dansu. So reach out to him, you understand? Reach out to him if you still have queries and questions. So all of those put together would help you achieve the maximum results. Let's go to other people who have questions. Um, some people who have asked questions earlier are still raising hands, so I will come back later and let's take some other people so we don't leave anybody behind. Smile Olani, can I ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question? Ismail Olani, can you ask your question? I think you are the one raising your hand. Okay, maybe we, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Ismail.
Uh, my name is Ismail. I graduated straight from the University of Lagos. For the pre-orders to get into the program, for the eight slots you said, eight people that were picked during
Mm,
your set. Uh,
okay.
how many were for masters by research and how many were selected for PhD? And the other question is the LOR, the letter of reference, letter of recommendation, the sample that is on the Mext site.
Mhm.
Is that the same format we are going to use for it, or the normal LOR that our professors use to give on?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
In my
And
set,
my third,
2017, is that okay?
my third question.
Okay.
Okay. So as I said earlier, I just graduated. I don't have the research experience, and I don't know what are my chances of getting it.
Okay. So you'll be probably going for masters, right?
Yes.
And you finished from Unilag.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I got that. Now, I don't think you have to worry. Only people going for PhD should worry a lot about research experience. Nobody expects you. At least you did a final year project, right?
Yes.
You may need to just talk about that at this stage. As far as the CGPA is high enough, like if you have a first class or something, or something very close to that, you stand a great chance. In my set, we're eight in all. Three of us. Do I still remember? I think. Um, Let me. I'm trying to remember now. One, two, three. Boys. Three. Only three of us were for PhD. The rest were for masters, going to PhD. Yeah, only three of us were for PhD. So out of the eight, three went for PhD. The rest five went for masters. Then maybe master. Most of the time, if you go for master, you can easily progress to PhD once you get into the system. So you stand a great chance as far as the CGPA is strong and you have every other thing in place. So you don't have anything to worry about. About the letter of reference, there's a format you download. You should fill that format for sure, and then but if you can also add something extra to it. In my case, I my HOD field and the other professor field. So the HOD's form, I just use that format only. But for the other referee, I used the format downloaded and something on letterhead, on footer letterhead. So you could do that too. Then the third question is about. Did I still remember that? What was the third question again? I
Can
think
you can Ismaila please repeat the third question? I guess is off. I can't find him.
yeah, but I think basically its concern is about having no research experience. Your
Yeah, yeah,
bachelor's
yeah.
project is a research experience, so you don't have to look down on that. That's you can talk about that. Just talk about what you did in that place.
Exactly.
So I think if he's not on, we can go to the next person.
Yes. Balogun Clinton, can you please ask your question?
Hello, Mr. Clinton.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clinton.
I want to ask concerning the certificate talking about the certificate documents. Make sure it's available. I'm currently an NY top member. So
Okay.
I can February next year. I don't know if I'm you apply.
You are graduating February next year. Passing out
No,
February
no,
next year.
passing out here.
February next year.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you won't be able to meet up. If I know, if you're going through the embassy recommendation, you may not be able to meet up. But maybe for university recommendation, maybe they don't care about that. At the embassy, the embassy recommendation is in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Education. And those ones they want to defend the NYC thing. So if I heard stories of people who were very qualified, well, the only drawback was that they didn't already have they were yet to pass out because they will also ask you for certificate or what's that thing? Discharge certificate. They will ask you for that. So that
Yes.
might be the only reason why why you may not be picked. But you can, of course, if you go through your university recommendation, those ones don't know what NYC is, so they may not bother you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but if you're applying through the embassy, make sure you have certificates of discharge certificates in addition to every other thing.
Oh, okay. So the next person, Sadiq Oguntade, please ask your question, please.
Hello, hello. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
Sadiq. Sure,
Yes.
Sadiq. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dansu. I really appreciate the
It's always
lecture.
my pleasure.
Yeah, so my question is for somebody that got married during the program.
Okay.
Can you explain how the person can go about sending his family to Japan?
So you have arrived in Japan already, and then you're getting married during your
E- e-
program, right?
exactly.
That's excellent. Once you're already here, all you need to do is well, I think it's better maybe if uh first of all you need the official marriage that the law recognizes, the registry marriage, right?
Certificate,
The
okay.
Yeah, that certificate you need, it's very important. So once you
Okay.
get that, then you can apply for what is called the certificate of eligibility
Mm,
from the immigration office wherever you are in Japan. And with
okay.
that you can put all of that together. In fact, one of my friends here he also finished from FUTA. He was here 2 years ahead of me, so he got married here. So I
Okay.
think if he was able, I think he had been to Nigeria and he had done the court thing, and he already had that. So he already had the wife already had all the documents needed. So after marriage, he just went to do the final church marriage, and then they came back together. So
Mm,
once you're already here and you have that official document, then you apply
document.
for the certificate of eligibility,
Legibility.
sorry, COE,
Eligibility.
certificate of
Okay.
eligibility. So
Okay,
once
I
you
got that.
apply for that, of course you have to add your scholarship certificates and many other documents. They will tell you all of those things at the immigration office, because you are probably already in Japan. So once
Okay.
you get that, you can now send it to your wife, or yeah, she should be your wife officially by then, right? So you
Sure.
send the documents, and then with that, then she takes that to the embassy. Then I think part of the requirement maybe to you already make a reservation or something, a
Mm,
flight reservation or so. Then the visa process is so sweet. Like, she just goes there, submit the documents. The interesting thing about Japanese visa is you don't pay on if you are until you have been given the visa. So if you are denied the visa, you don't pay
wow.
anything.
Wow.
I wish the UK and US can be like that.
You
They
can
Honestly,
extort
adopt
us.
that.
They exploit us.
Really?
Like, they know you're going to be rejected, but then they collect the money and they
It's the
keep
common money.
collecting and collecting. So so this guy, the Japanese people, I think they are in that regard, they are
flexible.
more reasonable and
Mm,
generous. You don't get the visa, you don't pay.
mm.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
of course, if you're already here and you're a scholar, there's no it's I don't think they will not even reject, as far as you have the document and she's your wife. It's not arranging anything. If it is real, your wife, it's not negotiable. It's just like automatic.
Eh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
so we have somebody who has an interesting profile. We're all interesting anyway, but this name fascinates me. I don't know. I want to meet this person. His name is Emmanuel Dansu. Please, can you
I've been waiting to meet this person.
can you ask your question?
Okay, good afternoon, Dr.
Hello,
Dansu.
namesake. Present, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. You are a doctor already. It's just a matter of 2 or 3 months.
Amen. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Amen.
We've met already. We are already connected on LinkedIn.
Uh-uh.
So I just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
2 questions.
Okay, please.
Some of us here are already uncles. So
Okay.
I want to I want to ask, are there any other scholarships in Japan for those who are above 35? Maybe especially in the
uh,
management services.
for like masters or PhD or something,
PhD. I have my master's already.
at above 35.
Yes.
I think it's a one thing about Japan is they have this very strict rules about things, because age is very important to them. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I may have to find out. I don't know if there's any program here, a PhD program where you can enter having been over
Over
35.
50.
But I think maybe the only one I can check, there's this in United Nations University, and since you said it's management, maybe in line. You could check up United Nations University. It's in Japan too. So you could check that up to see. Maybe I'll also check if I remember. I'll check to see if they don't have that issue with age because it's not a Japanese thing basically. So maybe they can waive that. But in a typical Japanese setting, above anything above 35, I don't know, especially if it's now on scholarship. I don't know. But of course, if you're not if you're not just thinking about Japan, you can definitely consider other places. Germany is not a bad place. Netherlands and all those places. So we can. I think I'll try. I'll link up with you and we can look at some of those things together.
No
Okay.
problem. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
can definitely get a scholarship. Don't forget that. Don't let that be a barrier. There's definitely something somewhere you can get. I'm very sure of that.
Of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for the question.
Yeah, I would take a question from Joseph Nwako now. Before I go to Slido quickly, we have some questions on Slido, but Joseph Nwako, I think that's Ogona, my friend. So you can ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr.
Joseph.
Michael, my friend. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mr. Emmanuel, for
Yep.
the lessons. Okay, my questions are the first question I have is uh, the form we are using for this year. There are three essays
Okay.
we are asked to, well, I call it essay, just a short story we are asked to write. Now,
Okay.
one of them is how do I think I will contribute to Japan as an international student? So I'm
Okay.
still trying to figure out something that I can write that will not be a kick on me, that will be like a positive value to Japan and Japanese.
Okay.
That was one.
All right.
Then the second one is now the area I want to research on, they are broadly the same area, but
Okay.
specifically they are kind of different research parts. Yes, but
Okay.
they are all grouped under the specialization for my course,
They are
and we're
grouped
asked to
under.
write. So I don't know how I can merge these things together
They are
so that
groups
I don't,
under
because
what?
the university that like like let me give for instance like
Okay.
mathematics we have differential equation, and on the non differential
Yes.
equation we have ordinary differential and then partial differential equation. So now
Okay.
take for instance I want to research both on ordinary and partial, but both of them
Okay.
are differential equation. You
Yes.
understand? So
Yes.
but my own case is civil engineering. So I'm just trying to relate
Okay.
these two. I don't know how I can write how I will write
A proposal.
research proposal for these two. That's the second question. Now the last one, the third one is eh?
Yeah, I'm getting
Now
you.
the third one is transcript.
Okay.
Nigeria now, most of our schools are not operating for now,
Yeah.
and
Quite
getting those
understandable.
documents are not that easy for us now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we can to get those things before the deadline. I don't know
Okay.
how we can go about it to get those things. So those are my questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Great. Great. The first question is about how do you think you can contribute to Japan? Now,
Yeah,
bringing
I'm through with the question.
yeah, that's fine. I'm beginning to answer them already. So, concerning the first one, which is about how you can contribute to Japan, well, coming here with your own cultural background, with your experiences, the exchange of ideas is something that the world appreciates right now. So in that regard, you'll be contributing a lot. Then for instance, in my profile you can see I'm secretary of African Association of Miyagi. So what we try to do here is we're an African group that we have seminars, we educate Japanese people about Africa, because some of them, the only thing they know about Africa are the things they have seen on TV. So we try to tell them that that is not Africa, is beyond those things you see on TV. The people on
Yeah.
TV, they have a narrative they are trying to push, and when they relate to stuff, they also know that, oh, these guys, it's not. In fact, one thing we tell them is they have stereotypes that if you're from Africa, maybe you live with lions and all that. Some of us, the first time we are seeing elephant or lion is even in Japan. We didn't see any of those things back in Nigeria. So we try to tell them all of those things, that some of them believe Africa is all about dancing and drama and music and entertaining people. No, we can be intellectuals too. So in those regards, your research, even if you look at your research, it's definitely so it to definitely have something to contribute to Japan. So your background, sharing your ideas, your experiences with people here will help to foster cultural exchange. One, two, your research in itself. It's something that I'm definitely sure it's something that might be useful to the country, because in the first place, your Japanese professor too will not he would want to supervise something that has relevance in research. And of course, by contributing by doing research, you are contributing to knowledge, globally, and that's something. So you can easily write in those lines. So and of course, we're in an era of globalization where cultures are there's high diffusion of culture these days, and you know you coming here, you are contributing to that globalization thing. You're showing, you're you're making people see. You can make people be in Nigeria when they have not even been there by interacting with you. Things like that can be quite helpful. Then I think, let me also add this. One thing that also happens in Japan is most of foreign students that we go to primary schools and secondary schools to teach those students about our culture, about our country. So that's another way you can also contribute. Your sharing ideas with elementary school students and other people. Then there are different associations you can join to share ideas like that. So those things are getting very important these days. Then merging two things, like you're doing a research that is the merger of two things. I think it's basically how you structure your proposal. So all you just need to do is talk about, maybe, um for instance, the example you use about differential equations. If I want to talk about that, I don't even have to sweat it. I'll just be like, um maybe something analysis of differential equations. That has even covered everything, because so in the body, I cannot be talking about, I want to use ordinary differential equations for this. I want to use the partial differential equations for this and all that. So just go ahead. Like you need to talk about the two separately, and then you now go ahead to talk about how you want to merge the two together in your proposal. So that should work. Therefore, transcripts. Now, one thing I tell people is, as soon as you graduate, don't wait till you need transcript before you get it. That's one thing I like Footer for. In Footer, I think the day you're graduating, your transcripts are ready.
Yeah.
So Footer is really doing great in that area. I think I graduated officially November 22nd or November 20th, 2010, and I got my transcript December 20, November 24th. So most what most people do is you just graduate and walk away. By the time you come back, maybe the rules have changed and things are more difficult. So as soon as you graduate, if you attend a school like Futa where your transcripts are ready on your day of graduation, try as much as possible before you travel out of your university town, get all the documents you need to get from the school, so that to avoid stories that touch like this. Now, if you have your student copy already, I think everybody understands. Just take them to court and notarize them and send it. If any issue comes up later, you can always maybe by then school will be open and you can get it officially. So, but if you don't already have your student copy, man, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that. If you have student copy, then you stand a great chance. Just like I told you, all the documents I've used till tomorrow here is my personal student. My transcript was even my student copy. So I was expecting that at some point the school would tell me to get my real transcript, but they didn't bother because I've taken them to court, notarized them. Thank God I didn't lie. Like I had a case of somebody who lied that she had 4.7 and went to America, and then they tried for the official transcript. That story is a very touching one. All these people that use agents, you don't need to use agents. All the professionals there,
Honestly,
the agents are just preying on ignorance. And if you can be here, I think you have all it takes to go through the whole process yourself. Don't let
myself.
people put you in
Mm,
trouble. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
So I think that's about that.
yes, I would ask. Okay, sorry. Let me quickly go over slide so that we can come back to people on Zoom.
No, I
Somebody
can see the
said, is the
questions, and
Mext
maybe I can
scholarship
just
only
take the
for
question
related
straight.
courses? Is
Okay,
there any Japan scholarship for finance? Okay.
related courses. Oh yeah, feel free, please feel free. Sorry. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you
Yeah.
can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Mext scholarship for science and
I know,
technology
no,
related.
it's okay. I was just like,
Yeah, it's cool. So, well, I think that you okay in my set we're eight, and one of us came here to study management something. I think he studied accounting or business admin in this first degree, and he was part of us. He was selected as part of us. So if you just apply, of course, most of the time there's this bias for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's where most people are investing their money these days. But you can, if you have a very strong profile, you may be able to make your way in. At least I know somebody who came here to study management, maybe financial management or business management or something. He's currently in Hokkaido University. So um, if you have all the requirements that I've stated, just feel free to apply. Now, one thing is, just like I told you, so that you won't be depressed afterwards, just get ready, develop a thick skin. You will get more rejections than you will get acceptances. So you may, some people are, I don't know what to call that. You apply once and you get it, it's possible. But in most cases, most people that get all these great scholarships, they apply several times. So just get ready for failure is part of the process. Being rejected
oh,
is part of the process, and you keep learning. Today, I can talk about most of these things because I've been through. If I got one scholarship and I went like that, maybe I won't have the seeming rich experience I have today. But it's because it's a product of a whole lot of failures and everything. If I can set up a whole organization talking about scholarships, and because of the serious
exactly.
experiences I've had. Name the country, I can tell you the scholarship, the universities they should go, and everything, because I've had those experiences. So when you apply, don't have this do or die attitude. Apply, trust God for the best. If it doesn't come, just believe like me that something better is coming, and
Mhm.
it always works. Yeah.
Mm.
Because for instance, the next scholarship I got is better than the best I would have ever have got. Even going to Canada wouldn't have been this great, because
Mm.
I would have to probably pay for my own flight. It would be a bit more difficult to bring my family and all those things. So if you lose something, know something better is ahead of you waiting. So go for it. So finance related, you can go ahead. Just apply if you have the requirements. Thank you. Okay, should I just go over the
Yes,
questions and then
yes, yes,
okay, yeah. The next one is, you did not talk about undergraduate studies. Somebody raised the question and I think I talked about that. And
yes.
if you need more information, Michael has given us the pathway to that. Then costly notes talks about, for master's program, how many letters of recommendation would one need? You need two for master's and PhD. The only thing is you use their format normally. Then if your recommenders have something extra on letterhead, they can add that to it. Okay, but it should be, so those letters should be put in separate letters and sealed, and they should stand across the flap to show that it's really confidential indeed. So use their forms, and those ones will be enough. But if you also want to put it on letterhead, you can feel free to add those. Then anonymous, hello sir, do you advise any do you have any advice for how we can improvise a letter of proficiency in English since our schools are locked at this moment? I don't know about that, but I think that the embassy already knows that there's all these issue there are these issues. But and on most of on I think on footer transcript they write that you studied in English. That might be helpful too. I think on our transcript there's this thing like uh,
Eh,
a
on-
study carried out in English language. That
Uh,
might be helpful.
uh,
I think I saw that on my transcript. Did you see
really,
that?
I don't think it's there.
You can
It's
check again. It's like towards maybe the last page, the base or so, the
okay.
last line or something. I think I've seen something like that before. I'm not sure, but of course, uh, it is obvious that you studied in English if you studied in Nigeria. So I don't know how to. Maybe you can write a personal letter though about that, and talk about the situation and why you cannot get there.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so you could do that. Of course, they know, but going the extra mile that may be the saving grace, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they know these things already. Sir, can you kindly re-explain the court process again? Yeah, for the court process, what you do is you get your birth certificate, your primary school certificate, your secondary school certificate. If it is junior and senior, get the junior and senior separately. Get your university certificate. If you're going for PhD, so that means you're getting bachelor's and masters. If you're going for masters, that means you need just bachelor's. So get all these documents together, the originals, make three or four copies of them. I think they need three normally. Maybe it has changed. But you can make four in case you need to replace. That process can be a very tedious one. I remember those days going around photocopying places in Futa and Ojaba to do some of these things. So you make three or four copies of this, and then you take them to court. So you show they already know how to do it. Just get that and tell them you're doing notarization of your of documents. So they'll see your originals and put their stamps and signatures on the photocopies. What that process does is it makes your photocopies look like original. Like your photocopy can be taken as original. That's what notarization simply means. So do that. Then the other forms that you download, you may not need to notarize them. Although sometimes some people fill one and then make photocopies and then still notarize if you don't want to go through but I think you are getting this kind of serious scholarship. I think you should also show some diligence, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's about the court process. Hello, sir. Please talk on the university recommendation process again. Now, for the university recommendation process, the way it goes is most of the times you can identify a particular program uh, that the university carries out that is not through the embassy. For instance, in Tohoku University, they have this program called ICPAS, International Graduate Program in Applied Science, or so. So most of the times, there's a lot. That program in this university is very interesting. I have a friend. There are a couple of Nigerians on the program right now. I think last year I heard they are ending it. I'm not sure, but there are programs like that all around. For instance, I told you one guy is going to Lautech who just met me on WhatsApp. Is going to Hokkaido. I think they have an engineering, maybe international engineering education program in Hokkaido University. So there are programs like that. Then the other person is going to University of Tokyo. So and they have some agricultural program like that, and so there are all those programs which you can check out in your field of specialization. So you could just go online and Google okay, but when I was looking for professor, for instance, one thing I did was mathematical biology was on top of my list, so I just did mathematical biology Japan. Then it brought out the big boys, the big professors in that field in Japan, and then I started sorting through one after the other. And because I'm a lecturer, and I know Nigeria can be very interested in. Are you studying in the University of Mathematics, in the Department of Maths, because that can be important to them. So some of them I'm like, okay, this person is in Department of Biology, but he can supervise me. But then because it's Department of Biology, I'm going to get a PhD in biology or something, and our people can be too close-minded to accept that. So finally I settled for this person. I wrote him and then he started surprising me with responses. So then I'm like, okay, let me settle for this person. So so the university recommendation thing is like that, so you can identify their programs. Another thing you can do is if you find a professor that you're interested in working with, just shoot the person a mail directly, like simple introduction. I am blah 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 blah. I graduated from blah 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 with a CGPA of something something in. I studied this thing. I looked through your profile. I'm interested in your research. I would like to study in your lab, probably with a Mext scholarship. Then he can reply you and tell you the options you have. So one of the best things, in fact, I think all over the world, one of the easiest ways to get a scholarship is getting someone speaking for you in the university you're going to. If you have nobody there, some of the things you see on the internet are maybe they are true, but they are not the whole truth. So if you have somebody right in there, especially a professor who already at least knows you, that you sent him a mail and he says go ahead and apply, it's stronger than just applying all by yourself. Then the professor can now give you the things you can do. Okay, there's this program, there's that program, apply for this, apply for that, and all this. So the university recommendation process can go that way. So now, what are the documents that are attached to the required document, but one can still be able to skip through if they are not available? I've told you IELTS, GRE, if you don't have them, you don't bother. But the other ones, I don't think you can compromise them, because they already have a checklist, like, okay, transcripts. The way you fill your forms, are they interesting to read? You get a score for that. Okay, your CGPAs, how high are they? You get scores for that. Your publications, if you're going for PhD, for instance, you get a score for that. And so, yeah, do you have all your certificates? Which one is missing? If anything is missing, all your certificates, especially school certificate, birth certificate, school certificates, and all this, very important. Well, if you are married, maybe you may not bother yourself at first with marriage certificate, but if you have it, put it. because by the time if you finally make it, they are going to ask you all those things. So you may still have to bring some documents once you scale through all those things. So I think the ones you can really do without initially are those uh, examination, IELTS, GRE kind of stuff, TOEFL, like that. Please, I have these questions. Please, how important are publications for PhD applicants? Well, I'll say they are important. They give you an edge. Like I think in our set, only three of us, three out of the eight came for PhD. So and the rest for masters. So if you still have good CGPAs from first degree and masters, you may still stand a great chance even if you don't have publications. But of course, you are going to talk about your bachelor's project and your master's thesis, master's dissertation, or whatever it is called. So that those can also actually pass for some kind of publication, maybe unpublished, but there are things you used in graduating. So you can don't. So the only thing you may have to do is to highlight the things you have and don't bother so much about the things you don't have. Can I print and submit a scanned letter of recommendation? Of course, you can do that because probably you're not in the same location with your recommender, and the person may not be able to post it to you. So I think that's not a bad idea at all. Can I print and submit a scanned letter? Yeah, you should be able to do that. So, but the more original it looks, the better, though. So for someone like me that graduated with a 3.22 out of 5.0, are there other things we can do to boost our chances of being considered for masters? I think I would tell you not to bother, don't waste your time, please. I'm sorry, but please don't. Maybe you shouldn't bother. You may consider other scholarships that don't really care so much about your CGPA. I think Chevening is one of those. If you have
Yeah.
some work experience and you have 3.22, you may still be able to get into a Chevening scholarship. Because most scholarships, I don't think they can go below 3.5, except maybe if they are now for special purposes like maybe job experience and stuff like that. So 3.22, that this is like the frame, the backbone of the whole thing. Your CGPAs are like the backbone of everything, so you don't want to joke with
Yes.
that. So are lessons taught in Japanese? Yes, some lessons are taught in Japanese. That's why I say you should do your due diligence and make sure you're going for a program that can be a researcher. You are going for a professor that can supervise you in English, or you're going for a master program that can be done in English. For instance, my wife is into a master's program and it is in English. So if if you just apply and get in, you may be so shocked to find that what you have applied for is a Japanese program. So you have to be sure that you're applying for an English program. Then why is the 6 month course on Japanese necessary? I think it's basically necessary for you to settle down and to be able to find your way around Japan, to be able to at least read signs, road signs, and things like that, and to be able to travel. Like you may have to go for conferences around Japan. Like you may have to go to another prefecture. I had to do that a whole lot. So at least you need to be able to, if you want to take a train, you should be able to know. Of course, most of the train stations they have some English, whatever, but if you can understand a bit of Japanese, it reinforces how you understand the information you're trying to look at. So the 6 month Japanese course is not there because you want to study in Japanese. It is there so that you can integrate better in the Japanese
Yeah.
society. But of course, if you are a linguistic person, it may be you will have to do more of such courses because there are people that actually come here to study Japanese to do Japanese studies. I mean, I've seen some of these Europeans. Probably some of them even understand uh, the writing more than even Japanese people. I've seen a Russian, a Dutch person. This one, they passed the highest level of the Japanese test. This one, I always cut head for them or something like that. So are lessons taught in Japanese? Oh, it's the same question. Do we have any question below
So we
beyond
don't
this
have
one?
any question on Slido
Oh,
anymore, but
that's
I
great.
think we still have like three hands,
Yeah,
people
no
raising their
problems.
hands
I'm here.
on. So
Okay,
I want us to take those who are still raising their hand. So we have
great.
Wina Uzoma. Please, can you ask your question? Wina Uzoma, please. Are you there? Can you ask your question?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah,
Good
good
Please,
afternoon,
can you
afternoon.
hear me?
Wina.
Please, I would like to ask, can someone use statement of results in lieu of certificate?
Statement of results. Uh, well, you can try. I'm not very sure about that. You see, the trouble is that maybe it may normally work, but the trouble is the competition is so strong that any small thing you don't have can edge you out. So if you are equally qualified with some with maybe they are going to take 8 people and 9 of you have they are going to take 8 people and 9 of you are qualified, but one of you does not just have statement of result, the others have certificates. That can be so when things become that serious, that they just want to look for anything to remove somebody. But of course, if you have the requirements, you could just do that. It may still sail through. But it's better you get everything original as much as you can. But if you can, just do what you can. And of course, you already understand that you should develop a thick skin. Every application you make gives you some experience. So, but of course, it may just be it may be interesting that you just sail through also, no problems.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the order of the hands that are raised, I would go back and I would call on Emmanuel Oluwarotimi. Can you please ask your question?
Thank you, sir. Can you
It's
hear
my
me, sir?
pleasure, Emmanuel. Yeah, I'm hearing you better now.
Okay, sir. Yes, I actually need your advice. I recently completed my master's degree
Okay.
from University of Lagos.
All right.
So I have my student transcript,
Cool.
but I don't have my certificate is not yet ready. But for
Okay.
my BSc, also that was from Akungba Dekunle Ajashin.
Okay.
I think the 4.59 for
Okay.
the BSc, and the
Okay.
master's 4.73. But because now that I don't have
Okay.
my certificate for the master's, I'm thinking, should I opt in for another master's program, just or will I stand a chance if I go for the PhD without the certificate for the master's?
Okay. Well, maybe because of the peculiarities of this time or of the COVID-19 issue, maybe they may be a bit more lenient this time because, of course, these are legitimate concerns indeed. So,
Yes.
all I would say is for all people that have this kind of issues, just do
Hello,
your
sir.
best.
Did you get my?
It's not your fault. Yeah, I got. Are you getting my answer? I'm answering you already. Are you getting the answer?
Okay. Yes, I am
Yeah.
now.
Okay, good. So I'm saying that we're in a peculiar situation with the COVID-19 trouble. So all I will advise you is if you have issues like that, you don't have your certificates, you don't have this, you don't have that. Actually, there's no way you can have it because of this situation, right? So I think the best thing you want to do is just give it just know that, oh, I'm just doing my best. Well, if it works, if it doesn't work, fine. But of course, it's like you don't have power over the situation. So just put in all the documents you can put in, and let's see how it works out. Because they also understand that schools are closed and people cannot get some of the documents they require. So you just want to just give it a try. Anything can happen, and you have very good CGPA, so you stand a great chance.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right.
So, well, I would ask Uchechuku to ask a question.
Oh, the first lady. That's interesting. Since
Uchechuku, please, are you there? The
Hello,
first lady is not willing
Chichuku.
to talk.
Oh.
Uchechuku, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying. Okay, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great.
Yes.
Thank you for breaking the gender trouble.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Please, I would like to ask about the research area. Does it have to be
Okay.
a research that we have does it have to be a research that we have that we related to what is happening in Japan or something? Or can the research topic just be any research topic that doesn't have to be? Do I really have to be looking into research that relates to Japanese or
Nah,
Japan, rather?
you just do a research that you want to do, a research you are interested in. If it's related
Okay.
to Japan, fine. But if it is not, no problems. you don't have to worry yourself so much about. It's like they really don't care. The Mext scholarship is not about all the scholarships where you must do something related to Japan. No, for instance, what I'm doing has, it's more like a general thing, you know. Like I'm into the mathematical biology part of what I do is epidemiological modeling diseases with um mathematics, with mathematical models. And that basically, of course, it's something global. It can apply to Japan and can apply to anybody.
Okay.
But I don't think you have, for instance, my wife's project is something, she's in doing MPO, non-profit organization management, and she used Leap Africa in Nigeria as a case study. So that probably has nothing to do with Japan. So you don't have to worry so much about, just let it be something that interests you and something that your professor, that aligns with your professor, proposed professor's areas of specialization, basically.
Okay. How about the CGPA? My CGPA is 3.8. Where can I cast my strength?
Okay.
Kind of like, where can I base my strength for me to be eligible? I mean, for me to get the
3.8 for
scholarship, like,
bachelor's, right?
yes, for bachelor's over
And that's
5.0.
the only one you have, right?
Yes, that's the only one I have. I'm going for the master's program, the master's research program.
Well, I think the best I can say is just give it a try. Just give it a try. But my recommendation basically is it's better to have like 4.3 over 5 upwards. Is it 3.8 over 4? Let me be very clear. 3.8 over 4
No, no,
is a very,
3.8 over 5.0.
oh, I wish it's 3.8 over 4. But it's okay. Well, if you don't mind, you could just give it a try. But by my evaluation, it doesn't stand such a great chance. But of course, you stand a chance to get a scholarship if you don't give up trying. Maybe not Mex though.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, you
that's the idea. Just
mentioned
keep
that.
at it. Hmm.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned
Yeah.
that the research area have to be the one that we align with the professor. So I'm
Yes.
asking, do I have to contact the professor? Because I've been trying to do that. I've not been getting a favorable reply. Do I really have to get the professor before before applying, or can I just have
It,
a professor in mind? Or maybe I can
you don't have to
include that.
contact the professor. Just check their website and look
Okay,
at the works they have published, especially in recent times. So once,
okay,
you don't need to talk to them, just look at the work they have been doing, especially the recent ones. If they align with what you're doing, just put their name on the form. You don't have to contact them. You don't need to contact the professor until you have passed the primary screening. So at that point, getting a professor becomes crucial.
okay.
So for all these preliminary stages, you just need their name, and to be you need to see if their research is in line with what you want to do, and just put their name on the form. You don't have to contact them.
Okay,
Like I
that's
said,
all.
some of them
Thank
will not even answer you until you have that first, the primary screening certificate, which they will give you if you scale through the interview. Some of them will not answer you until that time.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's
It's my
all.
pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. A lot of okay, let me call on Lucky. Lucky, yeah. I may not be able to pronounce the other name, so please pardon me. Lucky, can I ask you to ask your question?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. That's Lucky
Mr. Lucky,
Noelum.
good to have you here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
Thank you.
yellum, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I really want to apologize. I came into the webinar late, 12
No
sharp.
problem.
I wasn't able to, like 12 sharp, as stated from the email you sent. But
Sorry, no
thanks,
problem.
I was able to meet up. I'm so happy. First of all,
Cool.
I would just love you, sir, if you can do a quick recap of what you have said earlier. Actually, I've gone through the website, going through Nigeria Embassy and so, but I'm still confused that is it like an online submission, or you have to print all your document and submit it to Nigeria Embassy in Japan? So these are
Okay,
things.
A quick
Yeah,
run
just
through.
a quick run
Go to the
through.
website, download the forms.
All right.
Okay. Go to the website, download the forms, fill the forms. After filling the forms, get your certificates, from birth certificate to primary school certificate, secondary school, university, be it first degree, masters if you have both, or of only first degree if you're going for masters. So get those certificates, make 3 or 4 photocopies of those certificates, take them to court and notarize them. That is, get the stamp and signature of the court people on the photocopies. what that does is it makes the photocopies look original, like serve as original. So you don't have to so you now put those certified ones into the document with the forms you have filled. Then you take your health form, maybe it's form 7 or something. You take it to a recognized health institution, a hospital or somewhere, and then they carry out the test on you and fill the form for you to certify that you're in good condition. And then you put all of this together. Then you get reference letters from two people. Maybe if you
For
are
university.
maybe from your former supervisor, and maybe if you're working somewhere, maybe from your boss or something, or just get two recommendation letters. There are formats of recommendation letters in the form you will download, so you can just fill those and they put them in separate envelopes and let the people who gave you the reference sign across the flap of the envelope, and you put all of these things together, post to the Japanese embassy embassy of Japan in Nigeria. Well, to avoid stories that touch, make sure if you are make sure you register the email. Maybe you register the document. Maybe on EMS speed post can do that job, and don't post it too close to the deadline. If you post it like 2 or 3 days to the deadline, anything can go wrong. But at
Yeah.
least you should post at least a week to the close of this of submission, so that you will not work in vain. So
All right,
that's a
now,
run through.
okay, just a quick question about posting it. Am I posting directly to
Okay.
Japan embassy?
Yes, Embassy of Japan in Nigeria. I think it's
The address
Yokohama or
is
something.
on
The
the
address is on
application
their site.
website. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
then I'll use an online delivery, a platform for delivery throughout Nigeria, something like EDS or FedEx. Or rather,
Anyone.
Yeah, you can do that. You can use post too and do EMS speed post. Like if you depending on how much you want to spend.
okay.
Yeah, in
All
my
right.
case, I think it was 1 week to closing, so I used DHL or so, or I used FedEx. I think I used one of those two. So
All
in
right.
that case, you are sure to get there in 2 or 3 days. And the speed, the post office in Nigeria these days, I think they are better or something.
Yeah, that's
So,
why.
but
Yeah.
if you are using them, make sure you have at least 1 week.
Okay. So
Yes,
I'll post it directly to the embassy, and it's going to get to the embassy.
for sure. Yes, that was what I did. That was what everybody did. Or you can take it there by hand. If you live in Abuja, you can submit physically. Like you can go to the gate and submit
Can
directly.
someone submit for you?
Definitely, someone can do that. If you have someone in Abuja, it's possible.
Uh,
Sure.
okay, sir. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Please
Thank you.
Yeah.
just about the exams, because I saw that you are going to write an English exam. So
Yes.
the exam involves quite a preparation. If the exam is hard, or just as like normally if you just for you go pass.
If you have been passing normal English exams, lexis and structure and everything, it shouldn't. A typical person that is in this webinar will easily ace the exam.
Yeah.
Most of
All
the
right.
times, I think the most important things are the CGPAs. Most times, I think the CGPA are like the strongest thing to separate people. But
Okay.
most people can pass the exams. Yes, I think.
All right. Okay, sir. Please, the last question.
Yeah.
So I studied physics education. I graduated with 4.52 over 5.0, 4.52 over 5.0, and I'm
Okay.
interested in studying sustainable energy, renewable energy system. Well, I don't have a
Yeah.
publication in this, but what I've done expressly, I've taken online courses on it, and also I've attended online webinars related to this course, trying to join other international organizations that is working towards this particular field. So do you think that I can stand a chance even if my course of study is still in physics education, because I believe that I have the background of physics, which is in reference to that technological aspect we need, sir.
You are going for MSc, right?
Yeah, MSc.
You stand a great chance. You could, in fact, if you don't get the embassy recommendation, you can. Hokkaido University has some NS. They have some renewable energy kind of program, and that's the kind of program somebody I told you is going there in October is going for. So you could like try to apply for that later. If you don't,
Uh,
you apply for the embassy thing if you want to do that. The physics they don't really care. It's in Nigeria we have all these such strong attachment towards like education and all that. So as far as the physics is there, you have the background. You can crack the equation, the Maxwell equations, and all those kind of things. Like you sound
yeah.
safe, it looks like it's your thing. So just go for it.
All right. So finally,
Yeah.
the essay that we are going to write, the essays,
Yep.
you have to stand. That means the essay has to be have to stand out in essay. Please, can you give me a recap of the 2 or 3 essays you are going to write?
Well, I don't know what. Uh, Maybe somebody said the other time about how is your research? How are you going to? How is your research going to benefit Japan? I think
Oh,
I don't know what the essays look like these days, but I remember in my case, I only had to write about maybe a proposal, and I don't. There are no long essays like you have in Commonwealth and all that. Yeah, but at least somebody raised that issue of how your study is going to benefit Japan, and of course, renewable energy is a big deal these days. Everybody benefits from that. And the fact that cultural exchange, like you're going to bring your culture to Japan and also
Mhm.
learn the Japanese culture. That's something you can also latch onto.
all right, all right.
Then you could
And
also
then,
volunteer in their high schools and all that to teach English. I mean, tell them about your country and enlighten them a bit more about where you come from.
all right. So, sir, please, can we
Yeah.
still connect to you if we are looking for someone to proofread this our essays? Because I think that will be the last backdrop for us. If somebody to send
Yes.
the
I've been doing that all these years, but these days because I'm trying to round off my thesis. I may not answer you. You know, some people want to give you something and they expect you that you answer in the next 30 minutes, as if you're waiting on them. So if you don't mind, if you can drop it and you can wait for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe it's possible.
All right. That's also now this the Japan embassy will now use their own hands on their own authority to place you in any university of your choice, depending on what you applied for.
Well, it depends. You know, in the form, you're going to choose three professors that you can work with. So once you pass the interview, the next thing is they give you a certificate and they tell you to contact those professors yourselves. So maybe if any of the three professors answer you, fine for you. If any of them does not answer, you may have to look for new professors. But now that once you have the primary certificate, you stand a greater chance to get the audience, to get the attention of the professor.
Okay.
So, but then in extreme cases, which hardly happens, if no professor answers you, then the embassy can help you. But if they now help you and they don't get a professor for you, then I'm sorry. But that's a very rare case, though. It's a very rare case.
All right.
It's a
So
very rare
that
one.
you
Yeah.
have to choose the three schools and the three different professors you want to do your
Exactly.
research with. Hmm.
Yes.
All right. All
Yes.
right.
So
Thank you.
in my
Thank you,
case,
Mr. Lucky.
uh, after the interview, I contacted the three professors. I contacted the three professors, and I wrote them, and then one of them answered. And since then, we've been in touch till tomorrow.
Wow, that's awesome. What were your interview questions, please? Because
You may want to
yes,
go through the slide. It's like you want me to make me go through the whole thing again. Go through the
forgive
slide. We
me,
have a
sir.
slide for this. Yeah, you can get the slide.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, there are a lot of people who have been raising hands and I can't see their hands, but pardon me. Apologies for that. So I don't know if I'm
I
really
see one
following.
Chisom
Yeah,
Obiwuru.
Chisom and Lindia Chika, those two ladies, and their hands are not
Then
raised.
Frank.
Yeah, so okay, Chisom is still raising her hand. So would you ask your question now? Chisom, are you there? Hi, Chisom. Can you hear?
Hello, hello,
Okay.
Yeah, Chisom. Hello.
hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the time you're taking out to explain concept to us. We are very grateful, and pending the time difference, you've been very active here. I have like a few questions. So first, I'm a graduate of Human Resources Management with a 3.4 over 4.0 Bachelor of Business Administration. I want to confirm if this would give me like an edge to an extent to get schools in Japan. I'm looking at the Shisha and Ritsu Mekan University with more focus on sustainability, green business. So first, I would like to confirm if there's going to be possible opportunities for me in that regard. And
Yeah,
secondly,
3.4 over
I'm asking for a
4.0.
friend, which
Can
you
we
must.
take the questions one after the other? Like you ask a question, I answer, then
Perfect,
we go to the
perfect,
next. So you can get it held down. Yeah. 3.4 over 4.0 over in 5.0 converts to like 4.25. That's a great one. And it's specific about where you want to go to Shisha and to make great places. Go for it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Then secondly, I'm asking for a friend who was opportune to be in the seminar. He
Okay.
wants to pursue an undergraduate degree, but he has like an undergraduate degree
Already has
already,
an
but he
undergraduate
still
degree
wants
and
to
wants
go
to
in for
pursue
it, and
another
he's
one.
24 years old. Would that be
In the seminar, I already told you
yes,
that they have
please.
they in Japan they are very strict about age issues. Now, if you're going in for a first degree, it should be like 17, 18, 24. Maybe they can consider because it's another country. So the best thing I can say, I don't know so much about the undergraduate component of the scholarship, but the only thing I can say is the person should give it a try.
Okay, 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 okay. And also, I have like a thesis for my bachelor's degree in the concept of human
Okay.
resources management. So would that be advisable to also add that as part of my applications?
Yes, I think there's a place where you're going to put up your whatever publications you've had. Although that may not be a publication, but at least it's your thesis and a bachelor's project. So you may have to write the topic and the abstract. So that may serve as if they ask you for research background, that's some research background right there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Then for the recommendation letters, is it one or two? Because it's just it said recommendation letter from.
Mhm.
So is it advisable to send two or just one should do?
I don't know if the rules have changed, but it's two. If you have to read the general rule before you start filling the forms. So I think there's one copy of recommendation letter. What they expect you to do is print two copies and take them to the people that should fill, and then they fill for you, and then you put them in envelopes and sign across the flap of the envelopes. So you print two copies of the recommendation letters and send to your referees to fill. So it should be two, except if the rules have changed. It's been a long time. I got in here 3 years ago, almost 3.5 now. So maybe some rules have changed, but just with the general rules of the scholarship, that can help. I think it should be typically two.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Or my last question goes to us, going back to value addition activities for the country and Japan. Must it be in relation to your research topic, or it can be in other areas, perhaps in culture, or perhaps in language, or in any other ramification?
They love culture. Come and cook them some jollof rice. They will be in love with you.
Nigerian jollof rice.
Pardon?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be about research. Like you rightly said, it doesn't have to be about research. It can be about food. Like my wife, she signed up for a program. She goes around she goes around schools teaching them about Nigeria, our weddings, our food and all those things. So that's something. It doesn't have to be
Perfect.
about research.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very
You're
much,
welcome.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. So before I pick on others, Linda was raising her hands earlier on. I don't know, do you still want to ask a question? Linda?
Well, I think we can put a cap on it. Maybe we keep taking questions till the next 5 minutes. It's gonna be
Yeah.
5 minutes after 10 p.m. here soon. I mean, 15 past 10, I guess, in 5 minutes
Hey,
now. So maybe
thank you
I'll
for this
take
time.
questions for the next 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Linda, do you still want to ask your question? Please do that now quickly.
Maybe we just take one question going forward from each person so it can go around.
Yeah. Linda, are you there?
Linda
Yes,
Chica.
please. Yes, please. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Oh, okay. Listening to what you have been telling us and everything, I want to thank you so much for your
Yeah, it's
time.
our pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but it's like you have answered whatever I want to ask.
Okay.
I've been
Okay.
listening. Yes, I've
Okay.
been listening to your question from other
Great.
people's questions and all. So
Nice.
I just want to respond, not to ignore your
Okay. Oh,
previous
thank
question.
you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Olatunji Temitope, can you quickly ask your question? We have less than 4 minutes to end. Just go direct to the question, please.
My question is this. You mentioned something about the letter of recommendation. Is it
Okay.
compulsory to be handwritten by the recommenders, or it can be sent via email to them to fill? Then the digital copy can be forwarded back to me.
Yeah,
That's my
definitely.
question.
That's even better. It's more legible to read because you can't trust anybody's handwriting, right? So I think the trouble is most of the time, so some of our guys, so to speak, they are not so tech savvy. Even simple things like filling a form on electronically, they think it's too much of stress. So they want to see hard copy paper. So if you get someone who is upwardly mobile like Michael, who can just do that for you right now, it's cool.
Okay, okay. And please,
Yeah.
my last question, please. You mentioned something
All
about
right.
the primary school certificate. Now, is
Yes.
that one of the compulsory documents? Or right now, I don't think it's one of the compulsory. It can't be
At least
exempted.
something to show. They will ask you for sure. If you don't have certificate, maybe your testimonial. I think I did not have my certificate. I had a testimonial. So something to show you went to a primary school and you graduated this
Primary
particular
school.
year. They want to see every gap, every time in your life and how you've lived your life so far.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank Uwodinjo, can you ask
That's
your
all.
question quickly,
Thank you.
please?
Hello.
Hello,
Hello, can you
Frank.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for organizing this webinar. My question is this. I'm very sorry I joined very quietly because of network problem. My question
Okay.
is I had a 4.13 over 5.0 with a
Okay.
bachelor's degree in chemical engineering.
Cool.
And I had actually spoken to someone and the person discouraged me saying that I didn't have up to 4.3. So I wouldn't know
Okay.
if I stand a chance of being, considered for the scholarship.
Yeah, in fact, I already recommended to if you are not in it as for a do or die thing, you could give it a shot. You never can tell. But
Okay.
that's not a bad CGPA at all.
Okay.
But
Again,
the only the bar I just set is 4.3 upwards. You stand a greater chance. It doesn't guarantee anything still. So in the same way, you could
okay.
just go for it. That's quite close.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, and the last question, the last person will be taken because the other hands I'm seeing here are those who have asked previously. So Kainde
Okay.
Aturuka, sorry if I pronounce your names wrongly. Can you please ask your question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah,
Can you
kinda.
hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
Kendia Turuka, that's
Okay.
thank you for this session. I just want to ask about NYSC. I graduated last December and I'm
Okay.
present at NYSC. Went March
Okay.
and then I think we should be out by February next year. So I
Okay.
don't know if that will affect my chances. I know you
Yes,
said
it
something
will.
about it earlier, but I want clarifications on that.
Yeah, it will. If you want to go through embassy recommendation, it's better you apply next year. But if you want to go through university recommendation, you could go for it. For embassy, they need your discharge certificate for sure. But for university recommendation, they will not worry about that. So by the time you are ready to go, you're even done with NYSC. So if you want to apply now, university recommendation. If you want to go through embassy, by all means, next year. So those are your options, I think.
I guess we've taken most of the questions. If we are not able to
Yeah.
take your questions, please, I would like you to understand with us because even our guest speaker is speaking currently now at like 10:30 in the night. So, we have to really just let him go. We can't take all of the questions, but whatever you have gathered from today's seminar and webinar, please just use them. You can also engage with him privately on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and just ensure that you consider him, be considerate with his time as well when you engage him. You can reach out to any of us as well. So, but before we round off, we still have about 2 to 3 slides. I would want us to see that there. Somebody is asking here before I go further, said, where can we find the slide? For everybody who registered on this seminar, we will send a mail and I will include a link to a Dropbox where you'll be able to download all of these slides that we have used in this seminar. If you want to listen to this, watch this webinar again, you can go to the YouTube channel. our YouTube channel. We send the link in the email, but maybe I will do that again. So you can go watch or you share with people so that they can also learn from what you have learned. So I think that's all. But let me go back to the slide. We can end. So in the slide, when I send the slide to you, you will see this additional document. Some people are confused about, okay, what are the English language courses that I can go and take up in Japan? If you go through this link here, number one link, you'll be able to see the list of courses at several universities, PhD, masters, and undergraduates offered in English language. Then you will also see a student guide. Those are additional resources we have compiled for you in this slide. So you have all of those when we send this mail to you in the next few hours. So just hang on. Then I really want to appreciate everyone who joined in either through YouTube or Zoom. We could not connect on Facebook. I don't know what happened because I tested that earlier, some hours before we did this seminar, but it didn't work out. But hopefully we were able to connect on both YouTube and Zoom. So I want to really thank you for coming around. And one thing that I'm really passionate about is not just about gathering people like this, because I want people to also become winners of these awards. I want you to uh, move out, make your life better, equip yourself. In fact, to make Africa better and our nation better, I think human capital is one of those ways, and we can do that through education. And a lot of us cannot get quality education. And if you had seen my mail, you will see that I stressed SDG number 4 as one of the tags. I really want people to access quality education to make their lives better, to make Nigeria better, to eradicate poverty. So I will be glad to hear your good news soon when you make this application and you win. I would like to share with our guests as well. So please do all you can, trust God, and put all the things that you can pull together. And I'll be expecting your good news, whether with Japan or some other scholarship. If you'd like to join us on Facebook group, that's our link, the YouTube channel, that's it. And the Twitter is just a new Twitter page. I didn't have that idea before, but I feel that we can share more updates and scholarship on that link. So if you follow all of those things, you will see the things that we are doing. We've been on this thing for some years, like 2 years, but it was just local. But now I feel we should do more. And that's why you are seeing us online now. Thank you for all of you for participating. And I want to really thank our guest, Mr. Emmanuel Dansu, for, this man is a very humble man. He's a very simple man. The day I connected with him about this, we've been friends. He's my Oga, he's my. But when I told him, it was the day I spoke to him that, okay, I want you to do this. Do you have the time? I got the response immediately. Like, I was surprised. Some people will be telling you, next 2 weeks, like he told me, okay, let's do it. And we agreed on a very good time. So I really want to appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
It's always my pleasure.
Yes. So we have come to the end of this meeting, and I want to really, really appreciate everybody for turning around, because if you are not here, you won't be able to speak to anybody, and I can't be talking to an empty, group of people. So I'm very happy that you guys made it through. And we'll be able to win at the end. One of the things I always stress at all time is I used to make mention of a phrase. I say, till we all win. We are all a work in progress.
Yes.
So all of us, like the guests have spoken, at some point in our lives, we have faced rejection. There was a time in my life as well. I faced a lot of rejections. He knows about my story as well. I faced a lot of rejections in my applications. I was hopeless. But when I got what I got to, I was like,
you forget all the
yeah,
stress.
exactly. I was speaking to one of my friends who is a Chinese person, and in the course of the chat, I told her that, see, I've also been rejected with so scholarship and all of that. At the end of the day, she told me that, see, you are even lucky now that what you got, you are able to come to LSE. Like for me, LSE is even a top school. So if I had gotten all
Yeah.
of those ones, I would not be here. And I don't know. So
Exactly. That's the idea.
sometimes, let me also endorse that recently a friend A friend shared with me, he has failed, he has gotten rejections for like 2 years. He has been on this journey, but he has always gotten rejection. But at one point, recently, he got a scholarship. I will not mention the name because it's a private story, but the guy got a very big scholarship in the UK and is one of the top 3 schools in the UK, not even top 10, no, top 3 schools. And is going for a research program from his bachelor's degree to a research program directly, PhD. So in spite of all of those failures that he has had, he has gotten a very big one that those ones would never have given him. So please don't be tired, don't give up, continue to pursue and trust God as well. All will be well. Thank you, everybody. You can
Thanks so
unmute
much for the
yourself
great
and
work you
say,
do.
you can unmute yourself now. I want to hear your voice. I want to say
We can
bye-bye
take
to
a
you.
shot, right? You can remove the slide so we can take a group kind of shot.
Okay.
Everybody just show your head and then you can do like something like screenshot or something.
Okay, I'm trying to. How do I do
Sorry
that?
for the just remove this, just stop presentation, I think. Now we can
Okay.
do gallery is it what view is that? Something view,
Okay,
and
let me
then
stop.
everybody
I should
shows on the
stop
screen.
sharing. Something
Oh
like this.
yeah, this. Yes. Please,
Okay.
if you are not showing, please show your face and smile at
Show your
us.
face. So, so what do I do next?
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah,
screenshot?
everybody just show your faces as much as you can. Then you can do print screen if you can do that. I'll try that from
Okay.
here too.
Yeah.
Just
Okay. Please
Frank, you're
do
not showing your face.
that
Emmanuel
if I'm not
Ejim,
able to get it.
Kende Aturuka, Millicent Akayese. Oh,
Please
just
show
a
your
minute.
face. Show your face.
Yeah, let's try. Okay, Frank. Okay, hey, Blessing is here. Wow, Ayako sure, nice. Kende, we're waiting for you. Bernard Akawase.
We are waiting for you,
Oh,
Kennedy.
it's like more
Frank.
people are going. They are working out on us.
Hey.
Oh, well, maybe just make do with what we have, right? Let me see.
Yes.
This
Okay.
YouTube thing is covering your screen a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah.
Let's try with what we have. Yeah, show my phone. Quite an age. Okay. Well, we can't see all the faces, but it's okay.
I think I can
Fine,
see
I
it
think you
now.
can go.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Okay.
You can do that from your end. So you can do
Yeah,
print
I
screen
did
also.
gallery view. Yeah, I did
Oh,
gallery view.
nice. So you can print screen on your computer or something like that. Or anyhow you can
Okay.
get the
Yeah.
screenshot. Yeah.
Okay. Let me save. Okay. So good to see you all. Oh, Chisom just came. Let me take one more. Okay.
All the best. All the best.
So bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
All the
See you.
best.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, 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 bye. Thank you, Mr. Dansu.
Yeah, have a great time.
Yeah, bye. Bye, bye. Bye. People are refusing to leave. Bye. 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 Bye, Joseph. Bye. Bye. Linda. Bye. Blessing. Bye.